had in your corner. Ones like Andy and Barney from the Andy Griffith Show that have fun, that try to help the community, those that are in need. Maybe like Joey and Chandler from Friends, always laughing up, going through every single situation, laughing with your friend. Maybe Woody and Buzz having impact on young ones in the community. The Bible speaks a bunch about friendship and how important it is. 1 Corinthians 15:33, be not deceived, evil communications corrupt good manners. Psalm 133 and verse number 1, behold how good and how pleasant it is for the brethren to dwell together in unity. Romans 12:10, be kindly affectionate toward one another with brotherly love and honor, preferring one another. The best antique is that of an old friend. What can we learn about friendship in the Bible? That will be our objective this morning. The first place that we want to go to is Job. Let us consider Job's friends and their actions. Action number 1, Job's friends assumed. Job's friends spoke arrogantly upon him and his situation. God makes this very clear in Job 42 in verses 7 and 8, where he says this, and it was so that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said unto Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee, and against thy two friends, for ye have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job hath. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer for yourselves a burnt offering. And my servant Job shall pray for you, for him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, and that ye have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. Job's friends had all the good intention in the world. They thought that they were offering wise counsel unto Job. They were so sure about how God was dealing with Job and how Job was a sinner. He must have done something wrong. Yet they were the ones that were in the wrong. Job's friends were like miserable comforters. Consider the words of Job in Job 16, 2 through 4. I've heard many such things. Miserable comforters are ye all. Shall vain words have an end? Or emboldeth thee that thou hast answer? I also should speak as ye do. If your soul were in the soul's stead, I could heap up words against you, and shake my head at you. When our friends hurt badly, we want to help them the best way that we can. We strive to help them in any way that we can. We want to offer them explanations for why these things are happening, solutions on how to fix it, how things will get better. And we want to offer relief. We want to ease their pain. Yet oftentimes we make the mistake of reaching for words and end up saying things that are so arrogant and so ignorant of the situation and unuseful, like Job's friends here. Job's friends lacked empathy. Job's friends failed to listen to his perspective truly. They allowed the words of Job to go in one ear and out the other. They were quick to criticize and condemn. They didn't evaluate the situation wholly. They wanted what was in it for them. Maybe there was some jealousy there of what Job had and what they could get now that Job had lost everything. They could not fathom the idea that there were other reasons why Job was suffering. They had no idea that the devil was there in chapter 2 in the front of it all. Had no idea. Job's friends were not friends that we should aspire to be were inspired to have. They were ones that were miserable comforters. They were ignorant of Job's suffering and his pain. They lacked empathy. But the Bible does not stop there. There is, as we fast forward to the New Testament, there was another man that was suffering, was not able to walk. Let's investigate how his friends responded. Let's go to Mark chapter 2. Mark chapter 2. Mark chapter 2, beginning in verse number 1. And again, he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noise that he was in the house. And straightway were many gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them. No, not so much as about the door. And he preached the word unto them. And they came to him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was born of 4. And where they could not come nigh unto him for the press, they covered the roof where he was. And when they had broken it up, they let down the bed wherein the sick of the palsy lay. When Jesus saw their faith, he said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, thy sins be forgiven. The palsy man's friends were persistent. Not only had they carried him all the way to Jesus on his bed, I can imagine that each of them had a corner lifting him up, but they were willing to do whatever possible to get their friend to Jesus. They knew that Jesus could heal their friend. We can wonder if the paralyzed man was worried about his friend's response when they saw the crowds, considering these statements like, well, we tried, but the room's too full. We're not going to be able to get to Jesus today. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. What if they had given up after seeing the crowd, the house that was filled to listen to Jesus preach the word? What if they had stopped there? How crushed do you think this paralyzed man would be? Considering all the hope that he had was built up inside him. He's going to be able to be healed. Jesus is going to be able to heal me. If his friends had quit, they wouldn't have been any worse off, considering they still had working legs. They were able to go about their business, unlike their friend. What was important to their friend was important to them. Are we that kind of friend today? Do the opinions, do the ideas, do the things that interest our friends, are we willing to consider to joining them in those? Are we quick to quit something that isn't important to us? Well, I'm not very interested in that. Or that's not going to bring me anything. I'll pass. Or are we persistent because we know how much our persistence means to our friends? That's what we want to strive to do. Would we accomplish more in the church or even in our marriages if what was important to someone else was important to me? Or if an expression of what was important to me was met with a rally from my friends? Imagine how much more those things would mean. Imagine how much more greater those things would be met with if my friends were with me. How much more beneficial that would be. What if the church was more like this? We would get more stuff done. The church would not look the same way that it looks now. This is something that we want to press towards. We want to go for, let us make it this way. This man's friends persisted in accomplishing good, although they were met with some difficulties initially. It is so easy for us to set out to do something good, set out to do something great, and then at the first sign of resistance, we turn around quit. This happens to all kinds of people that try to live the godly life. To those who are new in Christ, trying to put the sins of old away, their old lifestyle away, that guilt. Those who are seasoned in the church and are met with resistance, trying to push towards godliness continually. Not quitting is the first sign of is the first sign of the resilience of the attributes possessed by everyone that is successful. No quit. These men exhibit a proper attitude in that when met with difficulty, rather than quit and go home, they found another way to help their friend. When we start thinking the same way, we will make more not only individual progress, but collective progress as a whole, the church, accomplishing or setting forward to accomplish our mission as Christians. Not only those attributes of being persistent and not quitting, but we also must endure. Consider Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These three men together refused to bow down. What is considered Daniel chapter 3? Daniel chapter 3, beginning in verse number 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image with that which thou hast set up. These three men simply here are acknowledging the charges that were made against them. These charges are true. We're not going to bow down to your idols. We're not going to bow down to your golden god. We don't need to make any defense for this, nor do we need to make an apology. They were standing firm. They were totally placing themselves in God's care and providence. Totally 100% dependent upon God. They were obeying God rather than men. Acts 5:29. Whether their deliverance would work into the plans of God, they truly did not know. He might have rather them die. But if that were the case, they were to still refuse to worship the heathen image. They could not do what was commanded of them of King Nebuchadnezzar because it was totally opposite of their faith and their conscience. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego show faithfulness and loyalty together. They remained faithful to each other and to their beliefs, even when faced with severe consequences. They're going to be thrown into the fiery furnace. We will later read, or you can later read in Daniel. But notice the end result. Because of their endurance, because of their willingness to go into the fiery furnace, notice what happens here. Going down to verse number 28, chapter 3. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who have sent his angel and delivered his servants that trust in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they may not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. Consider the words of the Proverbs writer, a man that hath friends must show himself friendly. There is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Proverbs 18:24. You can notice, if you go back up and read just a couple of verses before, you'll notice that it wasn't just Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego there in that fiery furnace. The second member of the Godhead was there with them, walking around. No sense of being harmed, no sense of being burned, none of that. But rather just walking around in the furnace. Because of the faithfulness that they had to each other, because of the loyalty that they had towards each other and towards God. Being a good, godly friend matters. Don't assume as Job's friends assumed. Be persistent. What matters to your loved ones, what matters to your friends, let it matter to you. Even if it's not your best interest. Fake it if you have to. Show them that you care. Endure with those that you love. There's going to be hard times coming. If you've not faced any hard times, they're coming. Endure with those that you love. Be faithful to those who you love. If you say you love someone, if you say you're with someone, be faithful. Both in the present and when they're not. Having faithful friends is a blessing that is not to be taken for granted. We're not in this thing to do it alone, but rather with the support of the brethren. I love you, brethren. I thank you for the relationships and the brotherhood that has been built up, and one of the biggest reasons why I made the decision to come to MSLP. Let us continue forward in our mission. Let us stand firm. Let us be loyal to each other. And let us never forget this brotherhood that we have.